Look, okay, is Matt Gaetz a kitty diddler? I don't know. I can't know that. I don't know, and I didn't see it. And honestly, I wouldn't want to see it. I can't tell you. But we do know that the ethics committee was told in testimony by the 17-year-old girl that he allegedly slept with, who was possibly sex trafficked by his convicted friend from Florida politics, who's serving an 11-year prison sentence right now. We do know that she said that he slept with him. We do know that from the ethics investigation, which they are keeping on lock and key. And that's the thing that keeps getting me, is that in order for Matt Gaetz to become Attorney General, he has to resign from Congress. And from the way it was timed, he resigned from Congress 2 days before the Ethics Committee investigation was supposed to be released to the public. And the only way you can stop an Ethics Committee investigation from, doing an investigation is by no longer being in Congress. So get voted out or resign or something like that. And so what he did is he resigned in order to pursue the position of Attorney General. And by doing so, the investigation, the ethics investigation was shut down, and the report is now not going to be released to the public. And after that happened, there was a bunch of talk of possibly the report leaking. We got some information out about the girl in question saying that Matt Gaetz did have sex with her. And we already had a huge backlog of different Republicans saying that, either saying openly or suggesting that it was credible. Kevin McCarthy being on the top of the list, and a bunch of other ones, including current senators, saying crazy stories about him chasing, talking about wild sex parties in the night where he eats Viagra and chases it with energy drinks so he can go all night long, and wild stories. But on this ethics committee investigation, on him either engaging in sex trafficking or sleeping with this underage girl, we weren't going to get the investigation. We weren't going to see the paper. We weren't going to see the evidence because they weren't going to publish it. They were not going to put it in public because he's no longer in Congress. And so I thought that would be the end of it. And I thought that would, it's sad. It sucks that this guy who, there's a decent likelihood he did some stuff with an underage girl is going to be the next Attorney General while being a rabid attack dog for Trump, who got the position not because he's an experienced lawyer. He only has a little bit of experience in the private practice. None as a judge, none working for the, Attorney General's office or working for the government in the legal capacity in any way. Just a small amount of experience in the private practice. Going from that to the most powerful legal position in the country. Not only is that bad, the loyalty question for Trump and him being an attack dog is bad, the idea that you go after his political rivals, but I also don't like the idea of this movement who is so, set on going after the deep state sex pedophiles who are going to come up and grab your girl by the ditty or whatever, Jeffrey Epstein, and then they take all the people they can find with either allegations against them, and then, straight up, we just know that they're doing this stuff, and they're trying to put them in these cabinet positions. Weird. Not great. You know what could clear this all up if it's not true? Release the report. Now, I thought it was done, though, because even though there's rumors of a leak, unless we get that leak, then we're not going to see it. But then something strange happened. Something strange. Mike Johnson, the Republican House leader, came out and says that the ethics panel should not release the report on Matt Gaetz. Came out and explicitly stated that it should not be released. And he said, I'm strongly going to request that the ethics committee not issue the report. Now, mind you, there's two things that's interesting about this. Number one, it's not supposed to be the House leader's job to impact this. It's the ethics committee is supposed to operate completely separate from the House leader. Like, the House leader shouldn't be going in there and saying, shutting this down. So that's the first thing. On what grounds? He didn't give a ground. That's the first thing. Second thing is, Mike Johnson, like 3 days ago, came out and commented on this, saying it was not the speaker's purview to impact ethics committee investigations and do anything about it. So it's not even like hidden. Like, he openly said, oh, this is not my job, it's not my responsibility, and I'm not going to do it. He said that he was not going to get involved because it was not his purview, like 3 days ago. Then 3 days later, the thing that's not his purview, admitted by him, and it's just, institutionally true, it's not his purview. Now he's reversing course. No, don't release it, don't release it, don't release it. Why? It's not your job. You said it's not your job. You said you weren't going to do anything. Now you're flipping, even though it was not supposed to release even without your suggestion. Why is Mike Johnson sticking out his neck in an area that he said is not his purview and that he would not do so to stop this report from coming out? The report that, mind you, is already finished and could be released. Why? I thought this was the transparency government. I thought this was, this is small government where the government is responsive to the people. Why wouldn't you want this to be public? I remember when they were asking for the full transcript of the Joe Biden interviews with investigators to be released so they could show like he was an old man and decrepit and that he couldn't be the president of the United States. And they were saying that even though it's not their job to release it, they should release it anyway because transparency matters. And what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of this full Biden interview with investigators being released? Are you afraid that he's going to look like a frail old man? Under that same philosophy, under that same guideline, why would that not apply here? And it's not just Mike Johnson. People are going out in public and really coming out here and fighting in public, trying to stop this from coming out. Here's Jim Jordan out in public on Fox News saying that this report should not be released.
And Congressman Jordan, do you have any sense about what will happen with that House ethics report that was supposed to come out Friday? Remember, Gaetz had been accused of things and no prosecution had been continued. It had been dropped. But Dick Durbin...
Wait. Why are we saying he's been accused of things? He's been accused of things. What is that? What am I doing with that? He's been accused of things? Your news channel. Say the thing. He's been accused of sex trafficking. Sex trafficking. Sex trafficking is the word. It's a thing. Yeah, it's certainly a thing. Sex trafficking is a thing. It certainly is a thing that happens. Sex trafficking, a thing. It's a thing.
Durbin's trying to get his hands on that report, obviously, to leak it out to hurt President Trump. What is your sense on that?
Well, it's my understanding that is not supposed to go public. So if it's not supposed to under the rules, it shouldn't go public. And what I know about Matt Gaetz is one of the best members we had on our committee. In my time in Congress, which has been a while, I don't know, there are very few people who have the cross-examination skills he does. And I want someone in the Justice Department who's not going to say moms and dads at school board meeting needs to be investigated. I want someone.
Yeah, I want somebody who's willing to go to that school board meeting and then go into that classroom. And that, actually, maybe not Matt. No,
someone at the Justice Department who's going to say it's wrong for the FBI to do a memorandum and say that pro-life Catholics are extremists. I want someone at the Justice Department who can tell us who planted the pipe bombs on January 6th, who leaked the Dobbs opinion, who put cocaine at the White House instead of all the other stuff they see.
Why are we going to release all that information if we can't even know if this? Okay, fine. Let's find out where the pipe bomb came from. I think they think that, maybe the pipe bomb was placed by the FBI. Okay, yeah, good luck with that. Fine, we'll release all that information. I don't care. You want to know why I don't care? Because I want to know the truth. I want to know the truth. Who put the pipe bomb there? I want the person who put the pipe bomb in a city that I live like 30 minutes away from in the United States. Because Maryland by Maryland, I want to know the truth. So the principle would be release the information. I want to know. Why would that not apply here? It's weird to be like, yeah, no, I don't want the report on whether or not Matt Gaetz was sex trafficking a minor to be released to the public. But let me just tell you, Matt Gaetz is a tremendous a tremendous congressman. Just very integral to the operation here of Congress. Very integral. Do they hear themselves? Do they hear themselves? You know what they sound like to me? They sound like the defense lawyers for Jeffrey Epstein and gang. That's what they sound like. There's no reason outside of you don't want an unfortunate fact to come out for you to be blocking this tooth and nail. If it was just a question of process, then you would not even talk about it and you just let the process play out, or you know it's a process. But Mike Johnson's going out of his way to, even though he said a few days before it's not his purview, it's not his job, it's not in his classification of responsibilities to have an impact on the report, and now he's going to try to have an impact on the report, not making sure it doesn't come out. We now have people who were previously dropping crazy truth bombs about Matt Gaetz coming out publicly just like their heads down, like, yeah, maybe we should just confirm him. And, to me, it sounds like they want to hush-hush it and make it go away. They want to hush-hush it, make it go away, and it's not of the public's interest, apparently, on whether the person who's going to be the top legal power in the country is a sex predator. Wild. Oh, by the way, let's break this up with some some intelligentsia. Look at this, what Patriot Takes found earlier today. Trump's HHS nominee, RFK Jr., said chemicals in the water are causing kids to turn transgender. Finally, somebody's talking about it. Every time I take a sip, man, I'm thinking like, I feel like some New Vegas, I think they might be onto something.
I've seen the climate apocalypse use fear to induce something approximating the same kind of level of tyranny, as far as I'm concerned, that characterized the vaccine lockdown. Help me sort that out and understand where you stand.
I see these huge levels of depression and despair, loneliness in kids, and I don't think that there's a single cause to it. And I think blaming it on, depression about climate is probably oversimplistic. And in fact, I think a lot of the problems we see in kids, and particularly boys, it's probably underappreciated that how much of that is coming from chemical exposures, including a lot of the sexual dysphoria that we're seeing. They're swimming through a soup of toxic chemicals today, and many of those are endocrine disruptors. There's atrazine throughout our water supply. Atrazine, by the way, if you in a lab put atrazine in a tank full of frogs, it will chemically castrate and forcibly feminize every frog in there, and 10% of the frogs, the male frogs, will turn into fully viable females able to produce viable eggs. If it's doing that to frogs, there's a lot of other evidence that it's doing it to human beings as well.
Sounds like a lot cheaper to transition that way, doesn't it? And it's viable. You say they can reproduce? This sounds better than like the sex change technology we have now. We need to get the super trans water to the trans people immediately. They just got to drink water and they can have kids? They can give birth? My God. If we expose this to the public, we're going to shut down. Oh my God. We're going to save trans people so much money. We're going to shut down huge profits for the medical industry. So we better keep it hush hush for now, because we don't want to get sniped. But he's bringing the truth. He's bringing the truth. This guy is going to get the top health position in the country. The top health position in the country. Man, I'm already hearing reports about CDC resignations, man. It's not vibing. It's not vibing. But they're excited. Republicans are excited about this. They're excited about taking the fluoride out of the water. They're excited about, going out there and, shutting down the vaccines. They're excited. Look at this as Congressman Garcia is talking about, RFK and warning about him, et cetera, says that he wants to shut down the NIH, the National Institute of Health. Marjorie Taylor Greene on the sidelines clapping. Woo-hoo! Shut it down. Shut it down. Mind you, RFK said on the campaign trail when he was running for president, he wanted to shut down research into infectious diseases for 8 years. Just shut it down. Just Done. For 8 years. Don't know why that's necessary. And if you wanted to do a review of processes, why not a few months? 8 years? 8 years? What if there's a new infectious disease that comes around? We need to monitor these things. It's not like, oh my God, super disease just came over the mountain. There's a bunch of stuff that's constantly mutating that you need to monitor. You need to monitor this. So why are we going to let the Chinese get ahead of us on research of this stuff? Why are we going to let the rest of the world get ahead of us? Why?
Researchers on day one. And I'm going to show, this is from ABC News, the headline that just appeared a few days ago, which if we're talking about pandemic preparedness, and with all due respect to the committee and the work, the fact that we're considering to bring somebody on with no scientific or medical credentials, who's falsely claimed for decades that vaccines cause autism, who has quite frankly said just out.
By the way, I know this is like a big attack on RFK, but Trump couldn't care less. Trump believes the same thing. Trump also believes that vaccines cause autism. So for him, that was like, oh, finally somebody's saying it. Somebody's saying that it's the puzzle piece jab.
Who has quite frankly said just outrageous comments about science and medicine, that this person would come in to gut the NIH, I think is shameful. I think is shameful. And Ms. Green, you can clap all you want, but it is shameful, it's dangerous, and if this committee is about pandemic prevention, we should be very concerned as a country that RFK Jr. could be put in charge of health when he is a vaccine denier and has caused great harm to the American public. I want to say just finally that I'm very concerned that someone that wants to gut the NIH, HHS, and other services could be put in charge.
Did she really clap? Yeah, she did. She clapped. She clapped. And look, okay, I'm a partisan. Everyone knows I can be a partisan at times. I'm a partisan. Republican dentists. RFK will rot America's teeth. On January 20th, the Trump White House will advise all U.S. water systems to remove fluoride from public water. Robert F. Kennedy posted on X just days before Donald Trump won the 2024 election. Fluoride is an industrial waste associated with arthritis, bone fractures, bone cancer, IQ loss, neurodevelopment disorders, and thyroid disease. Kennedy's claim sent shockwaves, not just because it flew in the face of extensive scientific research, but because it indicated that he expects to have tremendous amounts of influence over the American health agenda in the new year. Trump had promised to let him go wild on health. The tweet made it look like that promise was quite real. Now, Hill Republicans have been largely deferential to Trump as he assembles his team of advisors, but among the GOP lawmakers in Congress are several dentists. I wanted to see how they were receiving Kennedy's plan to sundown fluoride. Among the dentist lawyers I spoke to, there was a considerable amount of skepticism about Kennedy's plan, and some openly condemned it. When I asked Representative Mike Simpson from Kennedy about Kennedy's anti-fluoride proposal, he said, "I'm tempted to give you a smart-ass answer." Look, if you are honest, this is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea if you're an elected official who knows anything about public health. But the question is going to be whether the people within the Republican Party who are deciding to confirm him care more about America's public health for 4 years and the downstream impacts of, basically losing 4 years of progress. And if RFK got his way, 8 years of research is more important or less important than showing fealty to the President of the United States, who won both the popular vote and the Electoral College vote.
A curd is a curd.
8D5D2D Derek has donated $5. I want an 8-year pause on infectious disease research, and in particular research on brain parasites and their ability to control their hosts.
Oh, no! We've discovered something.